This is Bill. Bill is a young pilot in the galaxy of EVE Online's New Eden. Bill wants to build a Cynabal and join the Angel Cartel, but there are a few obstacles in Bill's path. Okay, Bill's been resting up for about 48 hours. Shield operation has trained to 3 with 4 on the way. I've dumped a bunch of level 4 skills into the skill queue, so we won't have to worry about that for a little while. Things are trading faster now because we've redeemed the 7 days free Omega, which is currently in the Nest store. So if you're playing on Alpha, you should make sure you do that as well. Also, our ammo's finished building. So we're going to deliver 5,000 units of Fusion S, which is amazing. We're going to put, I think, 2,500 of that into our hold. Keep another 2,500 in reserve. And in fact, doesn't take that much in the way of minerals. I think that we'll probably start another at least 2,500 building now, so that if we end up shooting a lot of people, we can always just come back and reload. So I'm feeling pretty good about our loadout. The problem at this point is these 2 empty low slots are really bugging me. So I've done a little bit of research. Gyro stabilizer blueprints, tracking enhancer blueprints are pretty expensive, and I'm not sure that's what we want to be spending our money on right now, since we're really trying to get after that 2.8 million ISK, and that's going to be a grind. But nanofiber blueprints, which will increase our speed and agility, which is especially welcome since we're not running an afterburner anymore. Nanofiber blueprints are dirt cheap, and they are sold by the NPC core complexion. So I think our goal is going to be to figure out where the closest core complexion station is. ERAM, just 4 jumps. So we're going to set destination there. We'll buy a nanofiber blueprint when we arrive, and along the way, we will keep our eyes out for some new anomaly content, because I think now we're definitely ready to do an Angel Burrow, and we could try a drone site too if we see one. Let's get on the road. There's no burrows or hideaways or drone sites here, so we're going to set warp to Tiona suit straight away, and we'll load our shiny new Fusion S into our guns, which sets our total DPS to 17.3 from the 200mm light gallium machine gun, and 14.8 from the 125mm light carbine repeating cannon one. Putting our DPS over 30, which is it's a threefold increase from what we were doing before with our civilian guns after we trained the skills, and it's almost 10 times what we were doing when we first started the game with our 2 civilian autocannons and the default skills. So these NPCs should be falling much more quickly than they did before. Let's see what Tiona suit holds for us. Refuge, hideaway. Okay, let's just keep moving. We've done enough hideaways for now. Someone in the YouTube comments mentioned that belt rats have more loot in general than anomaly rats. I'm not sure that's true. That sounds like the sort of thing that might be sort of confirmation bias, but I also think that we should at least consider the possibility that that is accurate. So if we don't find any good anomalies on our way over to get the blueprint, then after we come back and set that nanofiber to build, what we'll do is we will take a look around and see if we can't find some good belt rats in the 0.5, 0.6 systems around Galpheven. Maybe we'll even consider dipping into Lowsec and see how the belt rats are there, because the bounties will be quite a bit higher in Lowsec. Magico 0.9, and then we're going to Volat 1.0, and then ERAM 0.8. So we definitely won't be doing any belt ratting in these few systems along the way. The security stats is just too high. If there even are belt rats, they'll be weaker than the hideaway rats, not worth our time anymore, now that we've moved up in the world. We have arrived in Aram, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angel refuges here. We're going to buy our nanofiber blueprints, and then I suppose we could peek our head in an angel refuge. I still think it's going to be far too strong for us, but with so many here just taunting us, I feel like it would be silly for us not to at least try. We're in 0.8 space. I don't know if that will make the anomaly any easier than it would be in a 0.5 space, but let's imagine for a second that the NPCs will be easier because we're in high security, and use that to bolster our confidence before we give it a shot. Okay, market. Let's see what blueprints are available. Are we looking at station only? Yeah, so ship equipment. Overdrives are here as well. No, I think that we actually would prefer a nanofiber to an overdrive. And the nanofiber blueprints are way cheaper. So we're going to buy this. We're going to leave it here while we check out the refuge, just in case. Okay. We could get a 200mm autocannon turret as well. Autocannon blueprint. Although, honestly, the guns that we have now, the 200mm gun that we already have, is going to be... Do we have a 200mm gun? Yeah, the Gallium is 200mm, right? 200mm light Gallium machine gun. This is already stronger than a 200mm autocannon 1. And I feel like we're probably going to get another larger gun if we want one just by looting. So let's leave that off for now. I don't think that there's... Oh, the damage control is also very cheap. Maybe 1 nanofiber and 1 damage control? 50,000 ISK? What do you think? I feel like meta damage controls are hard to come by, and a damage control is something that we're almost certainly going to want to build pretty soon, even if we don't want it on the Reaper. So I think that buying this as well, even though it slows us a little bit, is going to be a good use of our time, good use of our resources. Okay, 2 new blueprints. Let's go check out a refuge. I think we probably will go 1 nanofiber, 1 damage control in our lows on the Reaper to start. The damage control gives you a little bit of resistances in your shield, a little bit more in your armor, and a lot of resistances in your structure. We're shield tanked, so the benefit we get is going to be less, but even though it's not a huge benefit to our main shield tank, it gives you... Damage control is so valuable for how much extra time it gives you to warp out once things start to go sideways, because you have almost twice as many structure hit points as you would otherwise. Okay, so I think these towers are going to be the big problem here. They're probably going to do the majority of the DPS. So let's take out the towers first. Before we even worry about the NPCs. We're getting into orbit around the sentry tower because it will have bad tracking. So we should be able to set its DPS to basically 0 by orbiting tight. The light missile battery is harder to mitigate the damage from. We'll take that on once the turret sentry is already down. Who haven't I targeted yet? Oh, I only have 3 targets at a time. Okay, so our peak shield recharge with our new skills is going to be at around 30%. So the fact that we're down to 50% shield right now is a little worrying. But it's not, we don't have to bail quite yet. Sentry tower's about to be down. We'll go for the missile tower. We'll target the other thug. Okay, our shield's kind of holding at about 30%. Oh, 17. I think we're going to need to get out of here. Yeah, we need to go. I'm going to set a bookmark here. We'll go refill our shields at the station, and then we'll come back and try and finish off this refuge. Possibly after we have taken out that, hopefully after taking out that missile tower, the NPC waves will be something we can deal with. But this might be too big for our breaches. I bookmarked the site so that we would be able to make sure that we warp back to the right one, rather than having to figure out which of these 6 is the one that we've already killed a tower in. Shields is already back up to half. The missile tower has a bounty of 25,000 IS, which is really noteworthy, actually. By doing these sites, if we take out the missile towers, each one of those is giving us like 5 to 10 times as much ISK as we get from killing these frigate NPCs. So even if we don't finish this site, just the bounties from these 2 towers will have been worth our time. Oh, shield hardener. Another 200mm light prototype. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Is that another? It's another one of those disruption field generators. Our Haunter is a destroyer. That's why we're taking more damage. Let's get in and orbit him. Although we might have to bail again. Our shield is going down pretty fast. This is the first time we fought a destroyer rat. If he doesn't start missing us soon... Okay, we need to get ready to move. We need to run. As soon as our shield's gone, he's going to start cutting through our armor really fast. Okay. So these refuges are definitely a bit much for us, but we are going to come back. In fact, I'm not going to dock up here. I'm going to intentionally dock up at the core complexion so we can drop off this loot and leave it in the same place as our blueprints, just in case the worst happens to a Reaper. We've got a backup 200mm gun now. And then when we leave system, we'll only have to go one place to collect all our stuff. If a big wave comes with like 3 or 4 destroyers, then we won't stick around and risk losing our ship. We'll just bail. But if it's like 1 destroyer, 2 destroyer in the final waves, I think we can probably handle it. I think that once we get in close and start orbiting, that destroyer rat will be doing a lot less damage to us. I think that we can out-track his guns without out-tracking ours. Although I do have to wonder, now that we're, again, doing an anomaly where we have to warp out twice to finish it, we might be setting ourselves up for further heartbreak. If a domination rat spawns at the end of this anomaly, it seems... Let's fit our other gun. Let's pull off our 125 and fit dual 200s. Yeah, if a domination rat spawns at the end of this anomaly, I feel like there's a good chance it'll be a destroyer, and maybe we once again will not be able to kill it. But let's not psych ourselves out too much. We are going through this ammo pretty quick. Okay, set warp back to our refuge. Bookmark. So, 200mm light gallium machine gun we already had. Damage 17.3 per second. 200mm light prototype automatic cannon. Damage 18.1 per second. Even better. Same tracking as a strict improvement. So our DPS is now over 35. My goodness. We're going to be unstoppable soon. Oh good, we landed... Oh no, not that close to him. Let's sort of spiral in. We'll start approaching him at an angle. Hoping to give him at least some tracking difficulty at the start. When you dive straight at a ship that's larger than you to try and get to a tight orbit quickly, then the problem is that on your quick approach, even though you get into your range nice and fast, you're giving them an essentially stationary target. There's no sideways movement at all. It matters a lot in PvP. Spiraling into NPCs is not something that you usually need to worry about, but we're in a Reaper. Oh yeah, he does a lot of damage, but he goes down fast. So as long as we can get close to these destroyers, they're no problem at all. Let's take out the destroyer rats first this time. Base plasma and another micro warp drive. Oh, I don't think we're going to be able to handle this. I think these two destroyers combined are going to be too much DPS for us. We'll get in close and see. The one's going down fast. No, we have to get out of here. We have to get out of here. Ooh. Okay. That would have been very sad. So, Angel Refuge, bit too much heat for us. That's fine, good to know. We will pick up our blueprints. We will take them back to Gelfeven, get them building, and then we'll check out some belt rats. Home sweet home. Let's get our new modules building. So, put all of this loot safely in our hangar. I'm going to take the other 2,500 ammo that we built now, because we're using it more quickly than I expected, and we've already got some more in the oven. First up, let's build a damage control. We really there, when we were warping out in structure on the Angel Refuge, I was thinking to myself that if we'd had a damage control, it would have been a little bit less skin of the teeth for us. So I think this is a good idea. It'll take 14 minutes. Hopefully that's minutes. Job cost 318 ISK. The mineral cost is pretty small, considering all that we have, especially with that additional warp disruption field generator we found. Also, while we were flying, our bounty payment came in from that half-completed refuge, and it was 100,000 ISK. So the fact that we're fighting tougher enemies is really going to quickly in terms of how soon we can buy a frigate BPO. So we'll start the damage control building. Could not be submitted because of skills, probably. We only have the skills currently, I believe, to do one job at a time. Industry. Okay, wait a second. Which skills allow us to do more than one job at once? Mass production would take 17 minutes, one additional manufacturing job per level. And what do we need to train this? We need industry at 3. And where do we get this skill book from? It's a player order. We have to go 3 jumps to 200,000. Oh. That's going to be frustrating. I'd really rather not have to build things just one at a time. So to start, let's inject some levels of industry. We need industry at 3 to even train mass production, and training industry up from 1 is going to be very cheap in skill points. And each level that we do will reduce the build time of our ship. So now, let's look at our jobs. Our ammo is currently going to take another hour 23. Can we pause it? I think we can. I think we'd have to actually cancel it. I think we're going to have to stop this because I don't want to take an hour and a half pause in the game. Oh, no input costs of materials we were funded. No, we can't do that. I think, well, for sure, as we move on, we are going to need to have more than one job slot. So we will need to buy mass production eventually. I guess now might be the moment. That's 200,000. That's 200,000 ISK though. It's going to slow us down quite a lot. Okay, we're going to do it. I think that half is in Lowsec. Yeah, which is interesting, because we kind of wanted to check out and see if we could kill some Lowsec belt rats yet. Anyways. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to head into Lowsec. We're going to try and kill some belt rats. We're going to get our mass production skill book. We're going to accept that 200,000 ISK is going to be a big chunk out of our wallet. but it's going to speed things up quite a bit for us. Now I do feel like, yeah, we should be, let's be cautious. I was going to just jump straight in. It seems unlikely that the Odalulf gate is going to be gate camped, especially since I am currently playing at a sort of off-peak hour. But we're going to scout it out in our pod. Because if our pod gets killed, we'll just be dumped right back here where our fully fitted out Reaper is already waiting for us. And if we jump through and there's nothing, we can come back, quickly hop in our Reaper, and head in for real. It would be such a shame to lose our dual 200mm guns at this stage in the game. The small shield extenders we can replace. The Reaper, obviously, is disposable. But the 5,000 ammo in the hold would also be a real kick in the teeth to lose. So I think a little bit of caution here is warranted. It's only really the first jump into Lowsec that you have to worry about. Especially out, there's nobody in the system at all. Okay, perfect. We're going to come back through to Gelthaven and get our Reaper. So in low traffic areas like this especially, if someone is going to be gate camping Lowsec, they're going to be gate camping the entrance system from high sec to Lowsec. It's very unlikely that somebody's going to be camping the Odalulf to Istadard gate, for example. So the downside of scouting in a pod is actually because when you jump through the gate, you land, about 10 kilometers off. And the slow boat back to the gate in your capsule is a little bit tedious. Maybe we should have boarded another Reaper with the civilian afterburner. Oh, maybe we should have fit one of those looted micro-warp drives to a Reaper and used that. Grillmaster just jumped in the system. Security status 3.3. Seems unlikely that he's the kind of guy who's going to be solo gate camping and killing a Reaper under sentry gunfire. If he was doing that sort of thing, his security status would be lower than 3.3. Alright, so we go back to get our ship. We bring our ready and waiting guns into Lowsec, and we see what the bell rats look like. We need 2.8 million ISK for our Rifter blueprint, and we are gonna get after it. So we have this EM shield hardener. I am wondering. So it says we have 2,059 of hit points with 2 shield extenders. Just for curiosity, let's say we put on the shield hardener and simulate it being active. No, we're definitely getting more benefit from 2 extenders than we would from an extender and an EM shield. EM is our weakest resistance. Where's that shield extender? It's in here. EM is our weakest resistance. So having a hardener that was specifically against EM does seem to be like it would be of benefit. But just more hit points, it looks like, is doing us more good. Also, right now we are mostly fighting Angel Rats, still trying to get the Angel Cartel's attention. And Angel Rats do mostly explosive and kinetic damage, which our shields are already strong against. The EM Hardener is probably not the right call right now. The one thing about the EM Hardener is that it takes up almost no power grid. So for example, if we had a medium shield extender that was taking up all of our power grid and we couldn't afford to fit 2, then a medium shield extender and a shield hardener would be a really good tank. So once we get up into a frigate, with more grid and more slots, we may be looking at a tank that is like 1 medium shield extender, 1 shield hardener. But for now, 2 small shield extenders is the ticket. Alright, so I don't see this guy Void Rain on D-scan. Let's check out an asteroid belt. We want to do our belt routing now. Oh, I guess I was going to say now before we get that skill book, so that we don't have it in our hold, but of course we won't have it in our hold. As soon as we buy the skill book, we will start training it to level 1, and then it'll be in our heads and safe from destruction. There's very little reason to ever carry skill books anyway. Nobody at Belt 1. Lowsec so far is not living up to its reputation of danger. Nobody in local. No rats at the belt. This seems quite a bit safer than the 0.8 system we were just in. There's an angel hideaway here. I don't think we want to do that. There's a drone assembly, which I know is not one of the low-level drone sites. The drone sites we would be interested in trying to do are drone cluster and drone collection. So we're going to steer clear of that as well. There's a couple of ore anomalies here, and an ice anomaly. Good for mining. We have 1 mining laser that we looted. That's better than the civilian mining laser. So if we do find ourselves at some point, here we go, 1 destroyer, 15,000 disc bounty. If we do find ourselves at some point running low on minerals, then coming to Lowsec and going to one of these ore anomalies, especially a small crocite's quite valuable, could be a good use of our time. But so far with those warp field disruption generators, I don't see us having a mineral issue anytime soon. Not until we're looking to build a cruiser, either the Cynabal, which is our final goal, or if we decide that we need to get into like a stabber or something along the way, then maybe we'll have to mine to build that. But I'm not even sure. Those field generators have a lot of minerals in them. This guy's going down pretty fast. This is a pretty quick way to make 15,000 disc. Okay, Lowsec belt ratting. That may be the point that we're at in our run. Let's see what he has. Oh, target painter. All right, this is maybe that guy who said that belt rats have better loot than anomaly rats was onto something. 2 modules. We're not going to use either of these, but nonetheless, each module that we get, in addition to being something we could potentially use, is also the metal scraps. While they do reprocess into titanium, almost any module is going to reprocess into more stuff than a metal scraps was. This scraps gives us 500 titanium, 250 after we account for waste. And this target painter, if we were to reprocess it, oh no, I take back everything I say. Less titanium, but it does give us some of the rarer minerals as well. Alright, metal scraps, I'm sorry, I will no longer malign your name. There's 2 destroyers, which is pretty much the situation we had to run from before, but there was also heavy frigate fire that we were under, and we had already taken damage from the previous wave. I think that fighting just these 2 destroyers on their own is actually going to be a pretty easy proposition. Somebody new is in local now, so I am keeping my finger on the directional scan button. If he comes within 14.3 AU of us, we will know in advance. Unless he is in a cloaky ship or a recon, and has decided that the best use of his time is to try and sneak up on a Reaper in the belt, in which case we're probably just going to die. But let's just assume that's not what's happening. And he left system. Yeah, these destroyers are going down fast. And the bounty ISK that we're earning here is a much better ISK per second rate than we were getting in the hideaways, for sure, at least. Possibly even the refuge. 2 more modules. See what this guy has. Alright, whoever it was in the YouTube comment who said that belt rats drop more stuff, I'm starting to believe you. Sorry for doubting you earlier. 200mm light carbine. Okay. I think that's probably a slightly lower quality variation than the prototype and the gallium that we have, but we can double check when we get back to our home base. 1 more belt in the system. If this keeps going so well, then I think we're going to be going to half getting our skill book, rushing back to Gulfhaven to get our 2 build orders on the way, and then we might just come back into Lowsec and grind out some belt rats for a while. I'm feeling pretty good about this. The one thing we do need to be cautious about is that there are clone soldier rats in Lowsec belts occasionally, and those are going to be quite exciting to see. They'll have bounty in the millions. They're actually, for newer players, chasing clone soldier rats is a very good way to make some ISK. But you chase clone soldier rats in something like a destroyer or a cruiser. We cannot get starry-eyed about the, multi-million ISK bounty on those rats, because they will one-shot us. So if we do see a clone soldier rat in any of these belts, we are warping out straight away. Now, local has spiked, as they say. There are 3 other people in local with us, so we are smashing that descan button every couple of seconds. I don't think that a Reaper in a belt is going to be something that people are rushing to kill, but... Oh, that guy's in a shuttle. Honestly, I have been so bored that I've gone killing noob ships, so it's not completely unheard of. But we can end up being someone else's content. That's the kind of game this is. You gotta learn to love it. Another destroyer down. Oh, second mining laser. If it comes to that, it'd be useful. On to Istadard. There are 25 people in local here. I don't think we're going to go belt ratting. In fact, I think I want to make a safe spot, just in case. And I want to make a safe spot that's sort of close to the half gate, so that we can descan it. That's not what I want. How do I open the solar system map? Oh, I didn't see what that was. I saw that there was somebody blinky there. I'm going to get off this gate before my gate cloak expires. And we're going to make a safe spot by dropping a bookmark mid-warp. And what that does is it makes a bookmark that's just in the middle of deep space, not close to anything else, which means that people won't be able to warp directly to it. We're warping to a planet right now, and if someone else figures out we're at the planet using, for example, descan, then they could warp straight to us. But now that we've dropped a bookmark halfway between the planet and the gate, we have the ability to warp there and be completely safe from anyone landing on us just incidentally. We do have to make sure that we are keeping an eye out for combat scanner probes. Combat scanner probes are something to let you locate exactly where a ship is in the system. It takes, depending on how good the player is with them, between like 15 seconds and 2 minutes to scan somebody down. And then they can warp to you even if you're at a safe spot. But the one thing about combat scanner probes is that you can see them on D-scan as long as... Yeah, as long as they are on your overview settings, which they are. So no one's combat probing us currently. There are not any ships visible in local, although on a quick glance I thought that one guy who appeared on our overview might have been Clokey. I was not paying enough attention. Now I need to figure out how to open up the solar system map. There we go. Okay, so the gate to half is all the way over here. So we're going to warp to this belt at a safe distance, and then we will drop a second bookmark that is within D-scan range of the half gate, so that we can make sure that nobody is waiting for us there. As you fly around New Eden, you will end up collecting a very large number of these bookmarks, tactically in systems all over the place. And then you'll warp into a system they haven't been in for years. Oh, there's a clone soldier. Bounty 1.25 million ISK. He is, in fact, flying a Cynabal. You want to just give us that ship, my dude? So killing this guy would be a huge boon for us, but he's flying at us pretty fast right now. He's targeting us. He is... We're not even out of his range. Okay. We're going to warp to our safe spot straight away before he just kills us. Yeah, see? From 63 kilometers away, he took out our shields in about 10 seconds. We cannot kill a clone soldier. I regret taking that moment to sort of gape at his Cynabal there. Even scarier than I thought. There's a Proteus on scan. A Proteus is a T3 cruiser. Loki. Known for fitting smart bombs. We could be exposing ourselves to danger here. I'm going to take a quick look and see if maybe we can get our mass production skill book somewhere else. We could go to Hild. Takes us back through Odalulf. Bocina. You know what? Let's try that. I don't like how busy this system is. I'm going to go back to our first safe spot, because I think that was in D-scan scan range of Odalulf. The Proteus was seen over here. So hopefully if we go back over to Odalulf, we'll be away from the Proteus. Hopefully there's nobody sitting on that gate. 2 succubuses, which are very deadly pirate frigates. These are player ships. I'm guessing by these crown emojis and their names that they're together. This system is too hot for us. We are going to leave Istodard behind. We're going to go over towards Held and see if maybe that section of Lowsec is less deadly. Oh, and our bookmark is not within descan range of the Odololf gate. And nothing is in descan range of the Odololf gate. So we are going to have to warp in blind. But we will drop another bookmark in case we come back here. Okay. Nobody on scan. As long as that Proteus doesn't uncloak and smart bomb us, we'll be out of Istidard and back in the quieter and less stressful stretches of Lowsec. Okay, there's nobody in Odololf. Let's head over to Bocina. See what we see. Bocina, I believe, is the Lowsec system that is adjacent to Tionosud, which is much higher traffic than Gelfiven. So if someone was gate camping a low-sec, high-sec boundary system around here, I think that Bocina Tionosud might be the one they would camp. So we should try and remember on our way back that we should probably not go Bocina Tionosud. We should not go Tionosud Bocina. If we're coming in at a low here, we should come back through Odololf Gelfiven every time, if we can, because Odololf so far seems to be extremely quiet. Even though there's people flying around in pirate faction ships and T3 cruisers over in one jump away in Istidard. Okay. 4 people in local. In Bocina. No player ships on D-scan. Held Gate is not within D-scan range of us right now. So where is Held Gate? Oh, it's way out in the middle of nowhere. We're gonna have to blind warp to it, but we will drop a safe spot. We're warping straight gate to gate right now, which means that our safe spot will be in between the 2 gates, which also means if we're at our safe spot, as people fly by, they'll see our ship blink up on their overview, which is something you actually generally want to avoid. In between gates is not a very good place for a safe spot because of that, because people will see you when they warp through, which means if they do decide to combat probe you, they know exactly where to put their probes, and they'll get you in one scan. So if we were being actually hunted, or if we were actually PvPing in this area, we would want to definitely not drop our bookmark where we just dropped it. But for our purposes right now of descanning gates in our Corvette, the dangers of having an inline bookmark are pretty minimal. Okay, Held is a 0.3 system, only 3 people in local. This guy is a minus 9.5. So at least one of these guys has a taste for player blood. I think we might try and avoid belt ratting here right now. At least while Jim Solid of Own Memories Corp Parallax Alliance is in system. Jim Solid, if you see this, maybe we can be friends. Maybe you can agree not to shoot me. But for now, I'm going to give you the respect of assuming if I do anything in the system that I will be scrammed and killed immediately. Unless when we dock up, we see that Jim Solid is sitting in station, possibly AFK, in which case we might risk a belt. Just us. Market. Mass production. 200,000 ISK. We have 307. I don't feel great about this purchase because it's not strictly necessary. We could just put all of our jobs in one at a time forever. You never need to build more than one thing at a time. But we're going to be building a lot of our modules and ammo, and I think it's going to end up just being way too much of a bottleneck for us. It's just going to suck the fun right out of it if we have to constantly be saying, okay, we can't do anything because we need to let this build, and then this build, and then this build before we can carry on. So, we've injected mass production. We're going to... The first couple of skill levels will cost almost no points, so we're just going to inject it straight to level 2. And then we'll leave it at level 2. That gives us 3 jobs, which is how many we want right now, and maybe enough for us forever. And now we're going to head back to Gelfeven and finally start building those two new modules. Jim Solid is still in system, and Gore L has shown up as well. All right, let's try one belt. Let's try like a belt in the middle. Top belt is usually the first one that people go to. It's just like psychology, it's there, it's top of the list. So going to top belt is probably the most dangerous. Bottom belt, for similar reason, second most dangerous. I would say right in the middle, maybe, third most dangerous, which is what we've done, just for exactly that reason. It's like, oh, I won't go to the top, I won't go to the bottom, I'll go to one in the middle. It's really a game of psychology. Maybe like 3/4 of the way down the list is the one that is actually the least likely to have other players be warping to it. Hard to say. Anyways, the risk level of 3 people in local in Lowsec is relatively low. There's 2 cruisers here. I think that is a bit more than we want to try and deal with. 1 cruiser I'd be curious to see if we could take. These cruisers have 72,000 ISK bounties. So if we can kill these cruisers, then we will be getting to our 2.8 million goal much, much faster. But the first time that we try fighting a low-sec belt cruiser, I would like it to be alone. Or at least alone with frigates, rather than accompanied by 1 or 2 other cruisers. I think we were in a 0.4 system before when we were low-sec belt ratting. This is a 0.3 system, and each time you go down like a 0.1 security level, the NPCs tend to get quite a bit more dangerous. So it might actually be right now that we need to specifically be keeping to 0.4 systems if we're going to be trying to belt rat in our Reaper. We'll try one more belt though and see what we see. So, okay, Raider Hunter Defacer, we can do that. More DPS than we've seen from a frigate before, except for that domination, I guess, probably. But our shields seem to be holding at 30%, near their peak recharge. See what we have here. Ammo. Less critical now, but I still won't say no. Tracking disruptor, we probably won't use. But we're like building up a collection now of different kinds of modules, which means that as our needs change, we'll actually have some ability to build a fit that we are interested in out of the modules we have on hand, rather than having to just cobble together whatever Frankenstein is available to us, or without having to rely entirely on built modules from expensive BPOs. Even when a module is one that I'm like, oh, we're probably not going to use that, I am thankful to have the option. We have a thermal hardener now. We've got several micro warp drives. We're going to build up our hangar with, oh my goodness. All right. A battleship. 500,000 ISK. So there's a funny thing about this. I feel like that battleship won't actually be able to hit us. Although I'd be much more confident in that if we had an afterburner. This may be crazy. Oh, someone... Okay, we are being double target painted. Angel Commander misses us completely. Angel Commander misses us completely. We're going to try and enter a tight orbit around this battleship. There's a covert op ship on scan. So we should be able to mitigate all the damage from the battleship. And then if we can take out these two frigates... You can see how long it takes us to kill this Angel Commander. It'll be a long grind. But that 500,000 ISK would be a pretty big boon to us. We're going to switch our guns to the Nomad because he's a little bit closer. Now this is very much a riding a tiger situation here. We're quite safe in this situation, orbiting the Angel Commander, because his guns will never track us. But it would only take like 1 or 2 good hits from that battleship to take us out completely. So we need to keep this orbit. If we start flying off chasing these frigates and accidentally put ourselves in a situation where the angular velocity relative to the battleship goes down to 0, if we start flying directly away from him, directly towards him, and then let those guns track us, then he will make very, very short work of us. So even though we'd like to be quite a bit closer to these frigates for our small guns to do damage to them, we're going to need to wait for them to come to us. Now there's only one. I feel like I actually can manually fly and get closer to that Nomad while keeping my angular velocity up against the battleship. So our orbit is taking us over towards the Nomad now. And then once we get a little bit closer, yeah, so here, now we can start flying on the tighter trajectory in between the Nomad and the Commander, which would bring us closer to the Nomad without letting the Commander track us. So that one turn, just as we turned there, the Commander got 1 hit on us. It was only a graze, but we do need to be cautious. We went, like, tacking against the wind. We were going sideways against his guns one way. Oh, no, that's too close towards him. We were going sideways against his guns one way, and then we turned, and briefly were in line with his guns. Now we've killed the frigates. Getting in close to the Commander. We're going to orbit him right at 500. Such a big target that our guns won't have any problem tracking him at all. Or shouldn't. And once we're at 500 with him, he should never be able to hit us again. A player battleship would have a newt or something, which could leave us dead in the water, or webs at the very least. But an NPC battleship will not. Now, the question is going to be, is it even possible for our 35 DPS to kill an Angel Commander. There's a good chance that... No, it looks like his shield is just too strong for us. Yeah. Okay, well, we will come back and we will try this again once we have a T1 frigate or possibly a destroyer. Now let's see if we can't get close enough to those wrecks to loot them without this commander wrecking us. Yeah, this is a draw. He can't kill us. We certainly can't kill him. Gnosis. Okay, that is a player battle cruiser. If that shows up on shorter scan, if it gets close to us, we need to get out immediately. Gnosis is a battle cruiser, fairly big ship. One of the things they are known for is having very quick lock times. So they are very common gate camping ships. They're pretty common hunting ships. We want nothing to do with any player who is in Lowsec with a Gnosis. They will not have good intentions. $200mm what now? All right, let's head back to Gulfhaven. That was a fun exercise. 200mm light carbine we found, and a 200mm light prototype. That's our better gun. We can have two matching guns. This is exciting. A Nurgle. Is a T2 Triglavian assault frigate that can totally tank the gate guns. We need to just okay, he left. I was pretty there was a real danger of us losing our Reaper to that Nurgle there if he'd cared to stick around and shoot us. It was a large gate. The size of the gate model strangely actually does matter, because that was a large gate. When we appeared in space, we were 38 kilometers away from each other. The smaller gates tend to spawn people in closer radiuses to them. 38 kilometers away means that unless he had a very expensive warp disruptor, he wouldn't have been able to stop us from warping off, unless he could possibly micro warp drive in while we were aligning. But it wouldn't take very many shots from a Nurgle to kill us, like 5 seconds. We'd be dead in 5 seconds if he locked us and started shooting. I'm glad that did not go differently. Alright, this has been a productive and interesting Lowsec adventure. And finally, we return to Gulfhaven. Okay, open up our industry window. How's our ammo coming along? Another 35 minutes. We want to build 1 damage control. Yes. We want to build 1 nanofiber. Oh man, it's cheap. Yes. Now look at our jobs. Ammo done in 35 minutes. Nanofiber in 13. Damage control in 12. We're going to take a little 13-minute break. We're back with a Fresh cup of coffee. And our nanofiber internal structure 1 and our damage control 1 have finished building. So let's deliver them. Let's check out our Reaper fit. Alright. Got those 2 empty low slots that have been bugging me. Damage control 1. Increases our effective hit points by more than 10%. Nanofiber 1. What? Oops. Can't put the blueprint on the ship. Nanofiber 1 increases our speed by more than 10%, or by about 10%. Alright. I'm feeling very good about this. I mean, rate my fit. Seriously. Nanofiber 1, damage control 1, small shield extender, 200mm light gallium 1 machine gun, 200mm light prototype automatic cannon. Oh, actually, we have a second prototype cannon now, which is the best of our guns. There it is. Now we can group our guns. Oh, this moment, I've been waiting for it. There we go. 36.2 DPS. We are a menace. I think it's time for us to just put on some tunes and go rat a whole bunch of Lowsec destroyers, maybe a cruiser. See how much IS we can earn.